Hey, I'm Sophia. Before we start, go grab a snack and get comfortable for a bit. These stories take their time, and they are told the way I'd tell a friend late at night. I really hope you enjoy them. This story has one update on it and my own opinion at the end. Comment and tell me if you agree. Let's begin. My ex tried to come back after I found success, but I made sure she regretted her choices. She said my name like it still belonged to her, soft and practiced, right as the event photographer lifted his camera and the crowd behind me clapped for someone else's speech. I felt the flash of the stage lights on my cheek, the heat of too many bodies in one room, the tight pinch of my heels, and then there she was, stepping out from the edge of the ballroom with a champagne flute and that same smile that used to make me forgive things I shouldn't have. "Mina," Chloe whispered, like we were sharing a secret instead of standing in the middle of my company's launch night. My stomach tightened so hard it almost felt like hunger. She moved to hug me automatically, arms already opening, perfume hitting me a second before she did. Sweet, expensive, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl. I stepped back. It wasn't dramatic. It was instinct. Her arms froze midair. The smile faltered for half a beat. "Oh," she said, blinking fast, recovering. Wow. "You look incredible." Her eyes flicked to the banner behind me with my name on it, to the line of investors and clients nearby, to the little gold pin on my blazer that said founder. She swallowed like she'd tasted something bitter, and then brightened again. "Can we talk? Just for a minute. I've been trying to reach you. We've been together for 5 years, from my last year of uni into the first ugly stretch of adulthood where everyone's pretending they're fine while quietly panicking about rent. Chloe and I met in a tutorial. She sat next to me, borrowed a pen, and by the end of the semester she was sleeping in my bed and leaving hair ties everywhere like she was marking territory. She was magnetic in that way some people are. Loud laugh. Quick charm. The kind of girl who can walk into a room and make it rearrange itself around her. When I was with her, I felt chosen. That sounds pathetic when I write it out, but it's the truth. I didn't grow up in a house where feelings got a lot of room, so being loved loudly felt like oxygen. The problem is Chloe didn't love loudly. She lived loudly. I was just one of the things in her life she expected to keep working. The first year was easy. We were broke in that romantic way people pretend is adorable, shared noodles, cheap wine, thrifted furniture that smelled like someone else's life. Chloe would drag me to house parties and introduce me like I was some rare prize. "This is Mina," she'd say, arm around my waist. "She's going to be a big deal one day." I'd blush and laugh, and try not to believe it too much. But even then, there were little tells. The way she'd flirt with strangers because she liked the attention and then call me jealous if I looked bothered. The way she'd borrow money and forget to pay it back. The way she'd roll her eyes when I talked about goals like I was being naive. When I got my first real job, entry-level analyst at a logistics company, nothing glamorous, I was proud in this quiet, shaking way. I remember standing in our tiny kitchen, reading the offer letter on my phone, tears stinging my eyes, and Chloe barely looked up from her laptop. "That's good," she said. "It's stable." Stable. Like I'd told her I adopted a houseplant. Later that night she said, "Just don't turn into one of those people who thinks work is a personality." I laughed because I didn't want to fight, but something in me filed it away. The breakup happened on a Thursday 3 years ago, in the same kitchen. I can still picture it. The overhead light buzzing, the sink full of dishes, my laptop open with a draft of my business plan because I was finally brave enough to try something on my own. I'd been working late nights teaching myself skills, building a tiny side project into something that could maybe be real. Chloe came home from drinks, cheeks flushed, and dropped her bag on the floor like she was too important to pick it up. She glanced at my screen and laughed. "You're still doing that?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "It's going well, actually. I have a meeting next week." She cut me off with this annoyed sigh. "Mina, be serious. You're not a founder. You're not one of those girls. You don't have that energy." I stared at her, heat creeping up my neck. What does that even mean? "It means you're safe. she said, like it was a compliment. You're careful. You want permission for everything. That's not how people succeed. I felt my eyes burn. You know I've been working on this for months. Chloe shrugged, already bored. Okay. And? I'm just saying don't embarrass yourself. Then she did the thing that still makes my stomach twist when I think about it. She said casually, like she was discussing weekend plans. Also, I think we should break up. I remember blinking slow. What? She leaned on the counter and checked her nails. I've been feeling trapped. You're always working. You're always stressed. You don't match where I'm at. I said, where you're at. She looked up, eyes sharp. I want more. I want someone who's actually going somewhere. Someone with ambition. The irony made me dizzy. I was literally sitting there with my ambition on the screen. But Chloe wasn't talking about my ambition. She was talking about the kind that looked good on Instagram. The kind that came with dinner reservations and a social circle that could get you into places. She left that night. She took the nice suitcase we'd bought together. She took my favorite hoodie by accident or on purpose. I still don't know which. 2 days later, I got an email from our building manager about unpaid rent. Chloe had promised she'd transferred her half. She hadn't. When I texted her, she replied hours later. I'm dealing with a lot. Don't make this about money. I paid it because my name was on the lease too. I swallowed the humiliation like I always did. After she left, I had this brief, ridiculous phase where I thought she'd come back. Like she'd realize she'd made a mistake and show up crying with flowers. That's what people do in movies. Real life is quieter. Real life is you sitting on your couch in the dark eating cereal for dinner because you can't be bothered to cook, refreshing your bank app because you're scared you'll overdraft, and feeling stupid for missing someone who treated you like an accessory. But something else happened too. Without Chloe's constant little digs and eye rolls, I could hear my own thoughts again. And my thoughts were angry. They were tired. They were also quietly determined. I threw myself into work, then into my side project. I stopped talking about it like it was a dream and started treating it like a plan. I found a mentor through an online group. I went to meetups even when my social anxiety made my hand shake. I learned how to pitch without apologizing. I built a small product that solved a problem I understood, something to help small businesses manage inventory and deliveries without drowning in spreadsheets. Not glamorous. Useful. Real. The first time someone paid for it, I stared at the notification on my phone for a full minute like it might vanish. It wasn't a lot of money. It was proof. I remember sitting on my bedroom floor, back against the bed, laughing and crying at the same time because it felt like the universe had finally returned something I'd lost. That turned into 2 customers, then 10. Then I quit my day job when I had enough runway to survive 6 months if everything went wrong. It was terrifying. It was also the first time I felt like I was steering my own life instead of letting it happen to me. Chloe didn't exist in my world for a while. I blocked her on everything after she asked 3 separate times for a small loan because she was in between things. The second time she added, "You owe me for supporting you when you were nothing." That line made me shake with rage. Supporting me, to her, meant being in the room while I dimmed myself. Then my business started to show up places. Not famous, but visible. A local article, a panel invite, a small award at a tech event. My LinkedIn got more attention. People started calling me founder, and I still felt like I was wearing someone else's title. And apparently Chloe noticed. The first message came 6 months ago. "Hey stranger. I saw you on a podcast. Proud of you." It was written like we were old friends who'd drifted apart peacefully. I didn't reply. A week later. "Can we catch up? I miss you." Then, "I've changed." Then the one that made my chest go cold. I think about how we ended and I hate it. I want to fix it. Fix it. Like our relationship was a broken chair, not something she'd thrown away with contempt. I ignored all of it. I focused on my work. I told myself silence was enough. Then tonight happened, my launch night, my first big public event with investors and clients and people in nice clothes drinking champagne that didn't taste like regret. I'd been floating all evening on adrenaline and exhaustion, smiling until my cheeks ached, trying to be present. I'd just stepped away from a conversation about growth projections when I heard her voice behind me.
Mina.
And now Chloe stood in front of me, eyes glossy, makeup perfect, acting like she had a right to my time. I stared at her for a moment and realized my body had already made a decision. I didn't feel love. I didn't feel longing. I felt a tight, controlled anger, like a fist in my chest. How did you even get in? I asked quietly. Her smile flickered. I know someone. I got an invite. I looked past her and spotted one of the event staff hovering, uncertain. Chloe followed my gaze and quickly said, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to talk. You've been trying to reach me, I said, keeping my voice low because people were nearby. Why now? Chloe's eyes darted again to the banner with my name. She wet her lips. Because I'm proud of you, she said, too fast. And because her voice cracked the way it used to when she wanted sympathy. I made a mistake. I waited. If she was going to say it, she could say it without me helping her. She exhaled shakily. Leaving you was the worst decision I ever made, she said. I was scared. I was immature. I didn't understand what you were building. There it was. Not I hurt you. Not I was cruel. Just a vague, soft-focus regret that centered her feelings. I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. Chloe blinked, thrown by how little I gave her. Okay. Yes, I said. You did make a mistake. She stepped closer, hopeful. So, can we talk somewhere quieter? Just for 5 minutes. I looked around at my event, my team, my investors, the people who'd believed in me. I thought about Chloe laughing at my laptop and telling me I wasn't one of those girls. I thought about me paying her rent because she couldn't be bothered. I thought about her asking for loans after she left. And I decided in that exact moment what turning the tables would actually look like. Sure, I said, and her face lit up. Then I added, calmly, but not tonight. Tonight is for people who showed up when it mattered. Her expression tightened.
Mina.
No, I said, still calm. If you need closure, email me. Her eyes flashed. Email you? Are you serious? I tilted my head. Yes. She tried to laugh, but it came out sharp. You're acting like I'm some stranger. You are, I said. And I'm busy. Chloe's face hardened for a second, and I saw the old her underneath the polished regret. So that's it, she snapped, voice rising slightly. After everything? You're going to pretend I meant nothing? I felt a strange, almost gentle satisfaction at her slipping. You didn't mean nothing, I said. You meant a lesson. Her eyes widened like I'd insulted her. Wow, she said, voice dripping. Success really changed you. I nodded once. It did. She looked like she wanted to say something cruel, but then she glanced around at the room, at the people watching with peripheral interest, and she swallowed it down. She forced the smile back on. Too bright.
Fine, she said.
I'll email. Good, I said. Then I stepped past her and walked back into my crowd, heart pounding, hands cold, acting like my knees weren't slightly shaky. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel her anger behind me like heat. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Because Chloe didn't email for closure. She emailed for access. Her first email was long and dramatic, full of regret and nostalgia and references to our special connection. Then, in the last 2 paragraphs, she pivoted. She was in a tough spot. She'd made bad choices. She needed help. She'd been fired. Her rent was overdue. She felt unsafe. She wanted to stay with me for a bit, while she got back on her feet. She ended with, I know you're the only person who ever truly cared about me. I stared at the email until my eyes felt dry. My first instinct, because I'm me, was to worry. To imagine her sleeping in her car. To picture her crying somewhere and feel responsible. Old Mina would have folded immediately. Old Mina would have said, okay, just for a week. Then I remembered the unpaid rent, the loan requests, the contempt in her voice when she told me I wasn't ambitious. And I wrote back 2 sentences. I'm sorry you're struggling. I can't help you with housing or money. Please don't contact me again. Within minutes, my phone rang from an unknown number. I didn't answer. It rang again. Then a text. So, you're really going to let me suffer? The guilt tried to claw at my throat. I swallowed it down like a pill. Then she escalated. Chloe started messaging people I knew. Mutual friends. Old colleagues. She told them I'd become cold and arrogant. She implied I'd used her, then discarded her. One friend forwarded me a screenshot where Chloe wrote, "She thinks she's too good now. It's sad. Success ruined her." I laughed when I read it, because the audacity was almost impressive. Chloe wanted to come back into my life through the side door, and when I didn't open it, she tried to kick down the walls with gossip. And that's where I'm going to pause the story midway like you asked, because this is the exact moment I stopped being passive and decided she wouldn't get to rewrite me. Chloe's whole strategy is emotional trespassing. She shows up where she hasn't been invited, speaks like she still has rights to my time, and then acts shocked when I treat her like the consequence of her own choices. She didn't come back because she missed me. She came back because she missed the version of me who would rescue her. Her regret is selective and convenient. Notice how she can describe her feelings in detail, but she can't describe my pain without glossing over it. That's not growth, that's marketing. And the "success changed you" line is hilarious because yes, success did change me. It made me realize that loyalty without respect is just self-harm dressed up as love. The people who matter in this story aren't the ones sending dramatic paragraphs. It's the friends who forwarded screenshots, the team who didn't make it weird, the mentor who taught me to protect myself with boundaries instead of speeches. Also, I need to say this. I'm not proud that part of me enjoyed watching Chloe lose control at my event. But I am proud that I didn't collapse into guilt the second she implied she was suffering. People like Chloe weaponize your empathy. They rely on your fear of being mean to keep you available. I'm done being available. If she wants a soft landing, she can build one without using me as the ground. Update. So after Chloe started messaging mutuals and painting me as some villain who changed, I had a choice: stay silent and hope it fizzles out, or speak once, clearly, and then refuse to play tug-of-war with my name. I'm not someone who loves confrontation. My default setting is make it smooth. But I've learned, painfully, that smoothness is exactly what manipulative people use as a hiding place. If you don't make noise, they fill the silence with their narrative. First thing I did was call my closest friend Priya. Different Priya than other stories. I guess the universe loves a Priya. She came over with takeaway, sat on my couch, and listened while I read Chloe's messages out loud. Priya didn't interrupt. She just watched my face like she was taking notes on what this was doing to me. When I finished, she said, "Okay, what do you want?" That question mattered. Not what should you do, but what do you want? Because for years with Chloe, my wants were optional. I want her to stop, I said. I want her to leave my life alone. And I want people to know the truth without me looking like I'm dragging it out. Priya nodded. Then you tell the truth once, with receipts, and then you step back. So I did it. I drafted a message to a small group, maybe 8 people, who were likely to hear Chloe's version. Mutual friends, one cousin she'd been weirdly close with, one old coworker Chloe had already messaged. I kept it short. I didn't insult her. I didn't call her names. I wrote, "Chloe and I broke up 3 years ago. The breakup involved financial issues, unpaid shared rent, and repeated disrespect. She has recently contacted me asking for housing/money, and I said no. If you hear claims that I abandoned her, please know I'm setting a boundary, not attacking her. I won't be discussing it further." Then I attached 2 screenshots. One of her texts saying, "So you're really going to let me suffer?" And one of her old message from years ago, where she said, "Don't make this about money after skipping rent." Not because I wanted to humiliate her, but because Chloe thrives in the space where everything is he said, she said. Screenshots collapsed that space. Most people responded kindly. "I'm sorry." That's awful. I won't engage with her. One friend admitted Chloe had asked them for money too. Another said she'd shown up at their place crying. Pattern confirmed. Then Chloe went nuclear. She showed up at my office. Not inside. Security wouldn't let her, but she waited in the lobby like she belonged there. My assistant came to my desk looking uncomfortable and said, "There's someone here asking for you." When I asked who, she said, "Chloe." My stomach dropped. I felt that old reflex to run to the problem and solve it. Then I pictured her at my event, eyes on my banner. I took a breath and said, "Tell security she's not welcome. I'm not coming down." 10 minutes later, Chloe called from a block number. I didn't answer. She texted, "I just want to talk. You're acting like I abused you." That line made my hand shake. Not because it was true, but because it was a threat. If I set boundaries, she'd frame herself as the victim and me as dramatic. I forwarded her message to my lawyer friend, not my lawyer, just a friend who is one, and asked, "What can I do?" She said, "Document everything. One written cease contact. If she shows up again, formal letter." So I sent Chloe one email. Just one. "Do not contact me again by any means. Do not come to my workplace. Any further contact will be treated as harassment." Within an hour, Chloe replied with a 5-page email that read like a diary entry and a hostage note combined. She accused me of punishing her, of enjoying her pain, of changing into someone ugly. She claimed she'd been there for me when I was building my business, which was laughable because she left before it existed. Then, buried near the end, she wrote the real reason she was spiraling. She'd told people she still had connections to me. She'd hinted she could get someone a job in my company. She'd implied she was in talks with me. And now, because I'd shut her down and told mutuals the truth, she looked like a liar. That's when it clicked. Chloe didn't just want money or housing. She wanted my credibility. She wanted to wear my success like a borrowed jacket so people would treat her differently. And when I yanked it off her shoulders, she panicked. 2 days later, one of my team members, sweet, young, eager, came to me and said, "Someone messaged me on LinkedIn saying you were a toxic boss and that I should watch out." She looked genuinely worried. My stomach went cold again. It was Chloe. She was now trying to poison my work relationships because she couldn't get access to my life. I didn't respond emotionally. I responded strategically. I scheduled a meeting with HR and security. I showed them the emails, the lobby visit, the LinkedIn harassment. They were calm, professional, and immediately took it seriously because this is a workplace, not a messy friend group. They told reception not to let her in. They put her photo on a do not admit list. They offered to walk me to my car if needed. It was weirdly validating having adults treat it like what it was, boundary violation. Then I did the part that truly made Chloe regret her choices. Remember the rent she skipped? The money she didn't want to make about money? I never pursued it because I wanted peace. But peace had already been taken. So I dug up the old bank transfers and messages. I found the amount, the dates, the proof. I had my lawyer friend draft a formal letter requesting repayment within 30 days, or I'd file in small claims. Again, not revenge. Consequences. When Chloe received the letter, she finally stopped with the dramatic "I miss you" tone and switched to anger. She texted from yet another number. "Are you actually suing me? You're insane."
I didn't reply.
I let the letter speak. A week later, she paid half. Another week, she paid the rest.
No apology.
Just money and silence. And then, this part made me laugh out loud. She tried to send one final message. "I hope you're happy now." I didn't respond. Because I was. That's the update. Now I'll finish the story. After the repayment, Chloe disappeared from my life in the way she should have stayed in the first place. Mutual friends reported she'd moved in with a new girlfriend, someone younger who didn't know the history yet. A couple of people told me Chloe was telling everyone I was heartless. I stopped caring. People can call you heartless. When they're angry, you won't bleed for them anymore. A month later, I ran into Chloe by accident at a cafe near my apartment. I was in leggings and a hoodie, hair in a messy bun, holding my laptop like a shield. She was sitting by the window, scrolling on her phone, and for a second, I thought my body would go back into old patterns, freeze, apologize, soften. Instead, I just felt tired. She looked up and saw me. Her eyes widened. Then she smiled, tentative, like she thought we might have a movie moment. "Mina," she said softly.
I didn't smile back.
I didn't frown. I just nodded once, polite the way you are to a stranger who once mattered. "Chloe." She stood up like she couldn't help herself. "Can we?" "No," I said calmly, and I watched her flinch at the firmness. "We can't." Her mouth opened and closed. "I paid you," she said, like that earned her access. "You paid a debt," I corrected. "That's not the same as repairing trust." She swallowed. "I didn't think you'd really do it," she admitted, and there it was, the truth again. She hadn't expected consequences. She'd expected soft Mina, guilt Mina. "It's okay, Mina." "I know," I said. Her eyes glossed slightly, and for a second I saw genuine shame. Then it flickered into resentment. "So, you're just going to punish me forever?" I shook my head.
I'm not punishing you, I said.
"I'm protecting myself." Chloe's shoulders sagged as if she'd run out of lines. "You really did change," she said, quieter. I nodded. "Yes," I said. "I became someone who believes me when I say no." She stared at me for a long moment. Then she sat back down like her legs didn't want to hold her up anymore. I walked past her, ordered my coffee, and left without looking back. On the way home, my hands were shaking a little, not from fear, but from the weird release of realizing I'd finally closed a door properly. Not with rage, not with dramatics, with a lock. And that's the new life part people don't always understand. It isn't glamorous. It isn't revenge fantasies. It's small decisions stacked on top of each other until your life belongs to you again. Chloe is the kind of ex who doesn't miss you. She misses what she could get from you. She walked away when my dreams looked inconvenient and came back when my dreams started looking profitable. That's not romance. That's opportunism with eyeliner. Her biggest flaw isn't even the audacity. It's the entitlement. She genuinely believed she could show up at my launch like a returning character and step back into my life because she decided she was ready now. People like that don't see you as a person with boundaries. They see you as a door they can knock on until it opens. And when it doesn't, they call the door cold. The funniest and saddest part is her "success changed you" line, because it's half true. Success did change me. It forced me to learn that kindness, without standards, turns into self-betrayal. It taught me that being nice is not the same as being safe. It taught me that some people don't respect feelings, they respect consequences. Chloe deserved to regret her choices, not because I needed to crush her, but because she needed to finally experience a world where my empathy isn't available on demand. The moment she realized she couldn't borrow my credibility, couldn't use my house, couldn't access my name, she unraveled. That tells you everything about what she wanted. Also, shout out to the quiet heroes, friends who don't just say "that's crazy," but help you act like an adult. Documenting, setting boundaries, refusing to engage in the chaos. And me? I'm proud of the version of me who didn't try to win by humiliating Chloe. I won by refusing to be rewritten. I won by not letting her turn my life into a soft landing for her bad decisions. If Chloe wants to grow, she can do it the way everyone else does, by facing the discomfort of her own choices without using someone else as a cushion. She doesn't deserve cruelty. She deserves reality. And reality, in this case, is me walking away with my head up and my door locked.